Okay. Yeah, nice. So we are recording. Yeah, man. So I guess I'll start with a little spiel here. So welcome to the second ever Crypto Cast podcast with featuring CryptoMood, featuring myself, I guess from CryptoMood. And today I have Cryptonator1337, otherwise known as Yannick Eckel. And rather than, I guess, give a big introduction, I'd love to hear a little bit about your background, man. How did you get into crypto?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me at first. Yeah, my entry into cryptocurrencies was a bit late, but still pretty early. So I joined this whole industry in February or March 2017 after hearing about Bitcoin like since 2010, basically. Um, at first, it was always just a crazy internet coin where nobody knew what it is about. My mistake was that I never read the white paper. I guess if I would have read it, then I would have joined earlier. But as it is like it is, and yeah, me and my friends, we are crying all the time when we think about the BTC we spent on Silk Road 1. um, Yeah, but so I heard about it over the years and never digged really into it. But beginning of 2017, I read an article about Dashcoin
Oh, nice.
and saw that BTC was trading at like $850, and I was like, "What the fuck? What happened over the years? How can Bitcoin be worth $850? It was insane." And then I started to really get into it, read the BTC white paper, informed myself about Dashcoin, invested a few euros in Dashcoin back then, made my first X10 with it, and yeah, the rest is history, basically.
Not wait, so I'm curious because that's one thing I've noticed about a lot of guys that are kind of in the crypto space, like that I guess are popular now. Like a lot of them seem to have come in around the time that you did, or maybe well, a few of them like slightly before, where they had kind of like heard of Bitcoin or heard of crypto, and then they put in a little bit of money, and if I understood correctly, you 10x'd on Dash.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's sweet, man. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, that was the it's funny because same I think similarly, I remember, I think maybe even as early as 2014. I remember my uncle, he's really big into, looking for the next best thing, and he was telling me, he's like, you gotta mine Bitcoin, man. Yeah, he's like, he was doing some sort of Bitcoin mining or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I mean, he was always a little crazy, and I'm thinking like, damn it, if I had just done it for like a week, would have mined like a hope. Well, I don't know at the time how much you could have mined, but mined a couple Bitcoin or something, and it would have been nice. One of my good friends actually, he bought Ethereum early on, just after it was released, and he made enough to buy a car from the. He
Yeah.
bought like a nice BMW or something. But yeah, and so I guess that's a perfect, I guess segue. Well, but it's not just, I guess for you, it's not just the investing. I know that you had like this project Shitcoin Graveyard, which, well, I mean, I guess I didn't know that until you brought it up. You're like, yeah, I did this shit, and I was looking through the website, and I guess you said that is, ironically, that is technically dead now too. But or if I understood correctly.
Yeah, so Shitcoin Graveyard was a project which evolved at the first. So I will begin at the start. So me and the friends were attending a ICO whitelisting party in Berlin.
Oh no.
and and after I won't tell the project name. But okay, so after a couple of drinks, he turned to me and was like, "Hey Yannick, I just registered this domain, shitcoin graveyard." I was like, "Okay, nice. What we gonna do with it?" And our brains was just exploding. So we started with this funny idea to have an actual graveyard, so 3D graveyard, where each tombstone represents a dead project.
Yeah.
And basically, yeah, we just started to build a database. We scraped everything what we could get, like we scraped CoinMarketCap, Wayback Machine, because we didn't want to pay the CoinMarketCap API.
Right, yeah, you told me. Yeah.
We're aggregating social media data, so sentiment data, Bitcoin talk, announcement threads, Reddit, Twitter, everything, basically everything we were able to scrape, we scraped and build up the database for living and for dead projects. Yeah, and from this basic idea, we went further and built other ideas on top, like offering certain tools which give access to all our data. We were working on models to take the data we have about that project and to Visor XYZ was working for this project. You have basically a red flag, and in the future, and pretty simple example, but this is something we wanted to build. Besides several other things, and our main issue was that we were always building those ideas for a huge platform, but failed to execute our basic idea. So to get the 3D graveyard started, and from there on building the other stuff. Yeah.
Right. So it kind of made it like to the first step, and then it kind of. I was reading. I think I was reading also just before we called on your website and About Me that you were trying to create some sort of tech that would, if I understood correctly, it would kind of like assess ICOs, whether or not they were good or something like that. I had kind of like skimmed over. Was that kind of like what you're talking about, where you would have like this guy went in this ICO is now in this ICO, and that's either a good thing or a bad thing depending on their reputation?
So with Shitcoin Graveyard, we were not focused on ICOs. This would have been
like any altcoin
adapted to any altcoin or token, whatever. You are talking about Coinmirror.co, I guess.
Maybe. I don't think you mentioned the company. You just mentioned that you had started building something, and then by the time it was built, then ICOs were not really a hot thing anymore. So that was the end of that.
Yeah, this was Coinmirror.co, and this was before Shitcoin Graveyard. So me and a few other people started to build this in end of 2017, and the idea was to give retail ICO investors access to better ICO deals, because as you will know, there are always, or were always, those crazy pre-sale discounts for bigger investors, and we were like, yeah, we would like to give access to those deals to people with not so much funds.
Right.
And so on this step, you were able to follow a certain so-called ICO syndicate. Syndicate was basically an experienced investor who got access to certain deals, and the syndicate would have been able to pool investments from our users. And yeah, we would basically receive a cut of the tokens. The retail investor gets more as usual.
Huh. That's super clever. Yeah.
And
that's
the idea was great. It was really great. And so we were a bit struggling with building the smart contract architecture with Solidity. Rick Chen, the founder, was digging into this 24/7. And yeah, at the end, we had the platform. Everything was working smoothly, but the ICO market was dead. And yeah, we didn't had a real plan B. And yeah, so
I guess what's the next or where are you at now then? Like in terms of, I know you have like this kind of podcast that you're sort of working on. I guess you're more just kind of, I guess, laying low and waiting until the next big move in the market.
Right. Yeah, you can put it like this. So right now I'm not into any bigger project. I mean, I'm doing fundamental analysis on my beloved shitcoins, trading a bit. I'm editor for a German crypto magazine, working for some clients as online marketing consultant. I just do what I want to do and where people pay me for.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it sounds like you're kind of similar to me then, like in the same boat. Like since March of this year, I've been just kind of freelancing, and I work for actually a couple of cryptocurrency companies, and it's interesting because they're, at least in my opinion, and I'm actually curious to know, from where I'm standing, it seems like cryptocurrency kind of has a chronic shortage of the sort of people that I guess understand what they're talking about and are able to write about it or even communicate. I don't know, like to explain what Dash is. Like there isn't really many people that could do that, and especially maybe there's people that could do it in Mandarin, somewhere in Asia or in Japanese, but how many English speakers have that level of, and I mean, even then I can imagine in Germany, like how's the cryptocurrency community there? Like based off of all these projects, it seems like there's at least a few pretty diehard fans in Germany.
Overall, the German community is still pretty small. So even in Berlin, so Berlin, you have to understand, is like the crypto and blockchain capital in Germany, maybe in the whole Europe. But yeah, when you attend the events there, after 3 or 4, you know everybody because you have everywhere the same people. So it's still a small group, but of course, so I know a lot of people like me from Germany who are into cryptocurrency since several years now. And more and more people are getting into it. So over the last weeks, I got more messages again, like, here, what's about those Bitcoin thing again? And yeah.
Well, I guess that's good. Yeah, I mean, likewise here, I think you can kind of sense, like when people start being interested again in stuff like Bitcoin, which I guess reminds me, because this is actually something you had mentioned, I guess, just a couple minutes ago. So you say, you're spending your time, investing in your little beloved shit coins. Because I know at least on Twitter, from what I've seen, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call you a Bitcoin maximalist, because of course I've seen you, tweeting about other cryptocurrencies as well. But I could swear, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I could swear that once you had tweeted, you're like, yeah, Ethereum is overvalued, or Ethereum, not as great as people are saying, or like, what's your take, or what's your stance? I guess is it kind of like Bitcoin is the main one, and all the other ones are kind of just, you just kind of ride the wave and then get off the surfboard, so to speak?
So in my opinion, and this opinion didn't change over the last years, Bitcoin will always be the number one in terms of market cap.
Yes.
When it comes to Ethereum, we have to see what's up with Ethereum 2.0 now.
Yeah, that's true.
If they are able to pull it off finally, we will see what happens. But overall, like for all altcoins and tokens out there, 95% of them will die within the next 2, 3, 4 years. I don't know.
And which ones are the ones that you think will survive? Any hot takes there? Or like, what are your precious shit coins? Let's talk about those.
Yeah. Let me get my list.
Well,
No,
okay,
no. Like I don't want to show any low caps or whatever here right now.
Yeah.
But overall, like I'm looking for blockchain environments like Tezos or KMD.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of privacy coins like Monero or a private stablecoin like XHV. I did it. So there are areas where I think we will see more legit projects coming up, crawling up. I don't want to say that KMD, for example, will survive the next 5 years. I don't know. Nobody knows. But there I could think of platforms which will accelerate in growth like crazy.
Yeah. Well, at least I don't know, and of course there's some debate. The way that I kind of evaluate cryptocurrencies personally, and this is actually something I did in so I just I guess quick background. There's a German project. I don't know if you know like KBC. You know this carrot gold coin. Does that ring a bell at all or not really?
I heard about it, but
Yeah.
not
It,
much.
bas Yeah, well, basically, it was this German. They were out of Stuttgart, and they were a cryptocurrency, or I guess they were kind of like a gold like seller. They would sell like small amounts of gold, and it was kind of like almost like a pyramid scheme, type of thing. Where
Okay.
like then they released a cryptocurrency, and I kind of got into it really early, not only with my money, but with even with my friends' money. And I think we were up like 3 or 4x, and they were telling me like pull out. And I'm like, no, no, not yet. Like the golden day isn't coming, or whatever they were advertising. So I waited, and of course, on the golden day when it was supposed to 10x or whatever they said, then everyone just panicked and pulled out, or I guess all the big investors, and even got delisted from Hit BTC, which is a pretty horrible exchange. I mean, so it's like, that's as high as they had gotten. But I mean, it was, and we pulled out, like, imagine, man, like just sitting there, and I think, I don't know, in euros, to give you an idea, I think like it was like 10 or 12,000 of like mine and other people's money, like 10 or 12,000 euros worth. And I'm sitting at work watching the coin just drop like hundreds of dollars by the second, or hundreds of euros by the second. And of course, all of it was, I had it on my Trezor wallet at home. So I was at work, and I couldn't like just leave work and go and run it. So I think that was the most stressful day of my life. And I ran home, and I plugged in just everything, and I sold it just before, like I sold it basically at the price that I had invested in. So I think we made a profit of maybe like 50 euros collectively, which was like, nothing to write about, and nothing to, anyway. But in December of last year and January of this year, I spent, man, I was, especially over Christmas, I was just reading. I basically went through the top like 200 or 300 and maybe even 400 cryptocurrencies by market cap on CoinMarketCap. And I read all of their white papers, read all the details, like looked at what exchanges they were on, look at their economic, sorry, their trading history, the price history
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And out of those, I'm gonna tell you, like and took so much time, but out of those 400 or 300 cryptocurrencies that I looked at, I want to say maybe 20, maybe it's more like 15 were actually like worth like I would ever put my money into. But which is still, I guess, like a fairly high number. But considering there's 5,500, if you do that as a ratio, that's like less than 0.01%. And of course,
Right.
most of those are in the top, 5 or 10. So, at least for me personally, it would be, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and of course, some privacy coin. I think Monero is also really important just as a concept, because
Yeah.
that's one thing that I'm really worried about is, as great as it is to have all this decentralized stuff, as soon as you get in KYC and all this stuff, then like, what's the point? Because then it just becomes like this, central bank digital currency, except it's decentralized, but it can still be tracked the same way that a CBDC would be in theory. At least I think. I don't know. Anyway, that's yeah, and I'm curious too, because I think I saw a couple tweets. What are your views on DeFi, like all this stuff that's been going on, and all these guys, like yield farming or whatever? I don't know if you've read anything about that at all.
Yeah. Good topic. Yeah, so it really feels like the ICO hype back in 2017. And when I follow all those tweets or postings on Reddit or on other boards, wherever, most people don't even know the basic, like the basic definition of decentralized finance. And neither they know what they are investing in when they buy COM token or Lend or any other token that gets hyped right now. And I mean, it begins with the fact that a lot of those DeFi platforms are actually pretty much centralized. We still have the issue that smart contract architectures have to be perfect. I know this from the time with CoinMirror. There are a lot of issues popping up while you are developing anything with smart contracts. Still, there are vulnerable. I hate this word.
Vulnerabilities. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
In
stuff.
the code.
Oh man. And so even if you have a perfect code, more or less, there's always a risk. Like everything a human programs, there's a risk that he made a small mistake. Nobody has to see it, but it happened way too often, you know. It started with a DAO hack. A lot of examples. Then you have high fees while using those platforms. Sometimes you have poorly designed user interfaces where people are sending funds to wrong addresses. Okay, this can be avoided through using ERC-777 tokens, because those can detect wrong transactions and block them, basically. But yeah, I don't see that DeFi is something what could go mainstream right now. I mean,
Yeah.
people don't even understand Bitcoin, and then are you coming with yield, and when you lend your tokens here, you get 8% per month. People just see the percentage. They
Yeah.
see, wait, I can get 7-8% per month on my fund. Yeah, here, take it. They don't look deeper into it.
Yeah. Well, that's I definitely agree with that. Is that I guess people have a really hard time, like you said, understanding Bitcoin, and then DeFi is like a whole different beast. And I've been doing because I also do some writing for Coin Bureau actually, and that's one of the things that I've been writing about. The last couple articles I wrote for them were about Compound, and the last one was about Aave. So it was really like when I read into it, it's like Jesus, like this is so, it's just such a big beast, and not only that, but it's just, well, I mean, for me, the thing that I'm always looking for is like use case outside of crypto, and that's what people forget is like, unless you're some sort of crazy DeFi, yield farmer, like here's the thing with all these lending protocols, like who would want to lend less than they currently have? The whole point of lending money, outside of crypto is you can lend more than you have. You can take on some credit and you can have more money than you actually have. Because otherwise, like what's the point? The only point is so that you can do this crazy, arbitrage with flash loans and whatever other crazy stuff they have there. And man, I was reading into that and it's just so wild. Like I don't know how anyway, it's and even I don't know, but like you said, a lot of these are even centralized, like even Compound, at least in my opinion. They quote unquote handed it off to the community, but if one token is worth one vote and all the tokens are in the hands of the guys who started it, then is it really is it really decentralized?
Correct.
Yeah, and that's I mean, there's of course a lot of projects that are like that. But yeah, but again, I guess I'll just reiterate that's the thing for me is I'm always looking like for use case. It's like who would actually even use this cryptocurrency or even the technology that underpins it, right? That's why I'm a fan of things like Brave browser, but of course, like recently, you're starting to see some news that even they're not really, abiding by best practices, and I don't know what your even opinion is on these sorts of projects, or like exchanges like Binance. Like I don't know. Do you kind of like shy or stay away from these types of I guess centralized, decentralized evangelists?
Um, uh, I'm trying to move as much activities as possible to decentralized exchanges. But of course, if you want to invest in certain coins, you have no choice. You have to trade on Bittrex or somewhere else. At this point, I can say I have a Binance account. Yes, I made like 2 or 3 trades back in 2017, but since then nothing. And I will never log in there again. So yeah.
Yeah, for me, I believe it or not, because I'm actually Canadian, so I had my first investment into crypto was Litecoin. And on the day that I went to try and withdraw it, because I left it on the exchange because I was a noob and I was a total idiot. And literally on the day that I went to withdraw it was the day that the exchange shut down. And I swear to God, I had logged in the day before. I was thinking about withdrawing. I'm like, nah, I'll leave it for tomorrow. I left it for the next day. I should come, and there's just a warning thing saying, the website is down. And I'm reading like the guy is quote unquote died, and like all these things. It's just like Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. So
Yeah.
of course I was I was salty for a while there. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a similar story with Cryptopia.
Oh God. Yeah. Well, did you lose a lot? No.
No, not a lot. Still not a nice thing, but it's okay. And it's my own fault. Like, don't store your funds on not on exchanges, and not on exchanges like Cryptopia. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah. And I guess I'll leave. There's one thing I'll mention real quick, and then I want to get, I guess, like just your closing thoughts and whatever price predictions you want to throw out. Of course, not financial. I mean, it's a mandatory, man. In every single cryptocurrency discussion that's ever been, it's like, what do you think the price of Bitcoin is going to be? 387,000 based on this model. Yeah. Anyway, like, so as you were saying, most investors, like, they don't really know what they're investing into. I don't know how much you listen to like regular sort of like investment advice or like YouTube channels or these types of dudes, but there's a couple really good YouTube channels, like American guys that talk about regular investing, and one of these guys mentioned something which I'm starting, like, is going to sound really stupid, but I'm starting to kind of approach cryptocurrency investing in the same way. That the stocks that perform the best are not like what you would expect. Like, well, of course some of these companies do really well, but companies like Facebook, Google, Apple, these big tech giants and whatever.
Yeah.
The stocks that actually perform the best consistently over a period of time are those with memorable like tickers. So like yes stock or OMG stock, or like, and it could be just like some computer chip manufacturer that's a tiny little company that no one really cares about, but the gains are consistent because people that have no idea what they're doing, they're like, ooh, let's invest in yes, like that's the so
Yeah.
even so now that's led me, I put a couple €100 into the crypto.com coin, first of all because I think it's a very clever, some sort of pyramid scheme going on there, but but secondly, with all this staking stuff, but secondly, I think objectively people, if and when the next wave comes, people are going to go looking, cryptocurrency, and then if crypto.com has like the domination thing there, then I feel like a lot of basically uneducated investors are going to get siphoned into crypto.com, into the CRO token, into CRO, MCO, whatever crypto.com is offering, just because it's going to be just so many people rushing, not thinking, investing like crazy. And they're going to say, oh, I bought crypto. It's the crypto.com token. And it's like, that's not crypto, So that's what's going to happen. So that's what I'm kind of banking on, and, maybe make a couple, 2x or 3x and something modest, nothing.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So what about you then, Yannick? What's your prediction? What do you think? Like, do you think there's going to be another, what do you think about all these data models showing there's going to be, another bull run there? do you kind of buy that or not really? Or like what do you think the price is going to go up, and if and when, and how much? Like what's your personal kind of hope, or what are you looking for?
Phew.
Big one. Yeah. What keeps
Um,
you up at night, eh?
so okay, let's do it like this. For Bitcoin, I don't think that we will see an all-time high this year.
Mm,
I would say up to 35K in 2021. Um, when it comes to altcoins, it's hard to say how they will overall develop, because in my opinion, what we are seeing right now is that fundamentals are getting more important. I mean, just
yes.
look for heaven, for example. Nobody without the FA information would have seen this coming. It was something you couldn't chart it like this, in my opinion. I don't know if somebody called it solely based on PA, but I don't think so. And yeah, so an alt season like in 2017 won't happen again, in my opinion.
Really?
So I mean, it was, you could have printed the top 100 or top 200 from every listing site and just throw a dart on it and be like, yeah, okay, I will market buy this today and sell it for plus 50 or 100% tomorrow. With every coin, I mean, it was impossible to lose money. It was, you would have been a real retarded person to lose money in this market. And I don't see this coming again. I mean, the world is facing other issues right now.
Yes.
Most people don't even invest in Bitcoin. Why should they invest bigger amounts of money in altcoins? I just don't see it. But what I see is that you have to look for fundamentally strong projects, which were built over the last years. And yeah, but even then, price predictions are tough right now. I mean,
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say as well.
like,
I feel, and do you think is a big part is it because of the coronavirus? Is that like a part of?
the coronavirus was basically just a trigger for what we are seeing on the equity markets or the markets overall.
Right.
This downturn we had in mid of March would have come anyway at some point. And I still think that we are not out of the woods. I mean, all those lockdowns worldwide, economic shutdown, it's nothing you can restart just like that. I mean, when you shutting down the whole economy and you want to get it going again, you will see that a lot of supply chains are broken. Companies vanished. So, and I see a huge risk that we will see another downturn on the stock markets. And when you look at the recent correlation between Dow Jones or SP 500 with Bitcoin, you will see why I'm rather cautious. And yeah, and this correlation itself makes it pretty hard to give a forecast for Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because you occasionally you see articles they say, oh well, it's this study shows it's not correlated or not as correlated or less correlated, and then I just think like, man, I saw it with my own eyes, like it's very much correlated. Even it's like, oh, the Fed's gonna stop pumping money, and then all the stocks start going down, and then Bitcoin starts going down. It's like, well, wait a minute here, I thought Bitcoin was supposed to be, and maybe it is gonna be that whatever hedge currency, but I really don't think you know, at this point in time, that's what it is. Um, but in any case, yeah. I mean, I won't even get into the coronavirus because, of course, that's a whole other topic. We could easily do another half hour on that. That's a pretty crazy thing. But yeah, Yannick, I want to thank you so much for taking the time today to speak. Like, it's really interesting. I guess it's nice as well because, at least from where I'm sitting, one thing that I feel is missing in the cryptocurrency space is like just having like a somewhat regular conversation like this, where, you know, you give a little bit of background, kind of like literally just like shoot the shit about shitcoins.
Yeah.
And because it's everything's, you know, it's always interviews with Vitalik or with you know, like Roger Ver or Andreas Antonopoulos or however you pronounce his name. You know, it's always these big guys. Like, come on, man, like let's get some like medium-sized people in here. You know, like let's get some
Like Charles Hoskinson.
yeah, yeah. Jesus, man, that guy's like a, you know, like you ever been to like an arcade and you have to like whack them all? It's kind of like what he's like. He shows up everywhere. I mean, no, he like, I mean, I personally like Cardano a lot, but he's like, anything happens and he's like, Charles Hoskinson says Cardano's gonna fix this. It's like, all right, well, I mean, I can't wait. Anyway, yeah, man. But thank you so much. Yeah, and I look forward, I guess, to the next conversation with you, and look forward to the next episode of the podcast.